everybody. Welcome to another episode of Steelers Today. I'm your host, Eddie Provident. With me is Dale Lolley. You're watching DK Pittsburgh Sports. Dale, I haven't seen you in a little while, man. It's been, with the short week and everything, we've kind of just been scrambling to keep things afloat. So what are you seeing on the beat this week, man? We could talk about the game Monday night, but I feel like everybody's talked about the game Monday night. We got Chase Claypool with a foot injury, well, I guess a toe injury. Boswell has been a full participant since he played. What have you been seeing?
Well, I mean, yesterday, because of the Monday night game, Mike Tomlin for practice on Wednesday. The days are still mixed up.
Oh, they're still blurred together, yeah.
Was essentially a walkthrough. So you saw nothing. The injury designation that they came out with yesterday on stuff means nothing because it was a walkthrough. Everybody was there, including Chase Claypool. The fact that he was at practice is a good sign. Don't look too much into that at this point. He did return to the game on Monday night after initially suffering that toe issue. So we'll see where that is. It probably end up being a pain tolerance thing, that kind of thing. This Lions team is it's a typical Lions team in that they're not good. I was running some stats on them last night. They give up 15.3 yards per catch to opposing wide receivers. That's the worst in the NFL. 15.3 yards a catch. It's just not good. They allow 6.2 yards per play against them. Only the Chiefs, who we know have a bad defense, and the Ravens.
Have they forced a punt yet this year
with
those numbers?
They're allowing the opponent to score on, I think it's 51.9% of their drives against them. That's the highest percentage in the league. The defense is not good. And then you add in offensively, since scoring over 30, they scored 30 points in their opener.
Right.
Since then, they've averaged 15.1 points per game. Now, the thing that the Steelers have to be wary of course, they're coming off of a bye.
Right.
So they've had some time to prepare. And we've seen them take the Ravens to the limit. They probably should have won that game. It took a 65-yard field goal to beat them. They pulled out all the stops a few weeks ago against the Rams. Fake onside kick, fake punts, the whole deal. And we're very competitive with the Rams in that game. But then you see some of their other games, like their last game, they got completely destroyed at home against the Philadelphia Eagles, who are not a good football team. It's almost like every other week the Lions come out and put up a fight. So the Steelers aren't good enough right now to take any team lightly. If they needed any reminder of that, all they have to do is take a look at last week's games with the results and what nearly happened to them at home against the Bears to realize that, hey, it's a slim margin for error in the NFL. If you don't come with your A game, particularly if you're not a great football team, and the Steelers aren't, you have to bring your A game every week. Otherwise, if you come in with a B minus C effort, not effort, but play, you're going to lose. You run the chance of losing.
As Tomlin says, there's no FCS games, there's no MAC games.
There aren't, and you can't look at this team that way. I just did my my history lesson for my preview, which I do every week, and I'm looking back through all the Steeler-Lion games here. The Lions haven't won a game in Pittsburgh since 1955. 1955.
Blowing me away with these stats today, man.
Well, I just did all this work on this, so I'm kind of up to date on this. So I'm like, okay, I need some kind of compelling game here in Pittsburgh between the Lions and Steelers. I went back to 1992.
Okay,
that was a pretty good Steelers team under Bill Cowher in his first year. They had just gone up to Buffalo and lost 28-20 to the Bills, who were the cream of the crop in the AFC at that point. Good ball game. But that Steeler team, if you think back about it, they weren't a team that blew anybody out. They wanted to run the football and play defense, kind of like this one. They come in here, they turned the Lions over 6 times in that game and only won 17-14 because they made some mistakes. They bobbled a couple of snaps on field goal attempts. They lost, I think they had 2 turnovers themselves in that game. And so they allowed the Lions to hang around. That's the danger when you play this style of football, the way the Steelers are playing now. Your margin of error is a little slimmer than it is if you're putting out, hey, we're going in this game, we're going to put up 30. That's the way the Chiefs have played things And they're not that team right now.
Right.
They play it kind of loose, and so they feel, we turn the ball over, we're fine. We make a stupid penalty, we're fine.
It's not clicking for them
it's
this
not,
year.
Yeah, that's not who they are.
Speaking of small margin of error, Boswell on Monday night missed that extra point, which forced the Steelers.
Again,
it forced the Steelers. But I want to talk about Boswell real quick before we go to our break. When you have a kicker like him that 2 50-yard field goals in the fourth quarter, a game winner in the fourth quarter, and a fumble recovery in the fourth quarter, what does that do for an offense, especially in a situation where, okay, you've got to go down, you've got to get at least a field goal to win this football game. You know that your kicker right now is almost automatic from 40 yards and further. What does that do for an offense, knowing that?
Well, there's that trust factor. And if you look at the Ravens right now, as an example, they're not a great football team right now, but they're winning close games. And they're doing it because they know they have that ace in the hole in Justin Tucker. The Steelers have the same thing with Chris Boswell. They know they have that ace in the hole. Now, maybe Boswell doesn't have the range of Tucker, who's, might be the best in history in terms of that. But it allows you in close games to have that confidence that, hey, if we get to the 40, you got a chance.
Probably getting three.
You got a chance
here.
Yeah. So if you're down 2, or it's a tie ball game, okay, we have a chance to win here because we got this guy on our side. I look at if you look at the Ravens' schedule this year, I mean, they've won 2 overtime games, including one against these Detroit Lions. It's just it's a cheat code almost. Yeah. It's almost like the running quarterback. That it just makes something extra for the defense to account for. You have that great kicker on your side. There's only each year maybe between 20 and 25 teams that know they have at least a passable kicker, and then those other teams are constantly churning, looking for that guy that you see it every week. This guy gets cut, that guy gets cut. They bring somebody else in. With Boswell here, I think there's maybe 5 or 6 teams that are completely set at kicker, and they know this is our guy. He's going to be our guy for the next 10 years. That's Boswell. That's what the Steelers have there.
It's a nice luxury to have, for sure. When we come back, I do want to talk about the offensive side of the football for a few minutes. This is Steelers Today. We'll be back after this break. All right, welcome back to Steelers Today. Dale, we saw, I wouldn't call it vintage Ben Roethlisberger, but we did see a second week in a row where Ben Roethlisberger leads a fourth quarter drive down the field to win the game. The second Pat Freiermuth touchdown, I believe it was, you kind of saw him roll out, point around. That was the first one. Yeah. Point around a little bit, kind of direct traffic and get the ball to Freiermuth. We're starting to see, I almost think we're starting to see Ben get comfortable in his role. And I wouldn't necessarily call him a game manager, but, he's not throwing for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns anymore. But he's throwing for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns and not turning the ball over.
The last thing you said there is the important thing,
right.
Not turning the ball over. Again, with this team, the way it's constructed, you kind of have to play things a little closer. You have to be more careful with the football. People are wondering, why aren't they throwing more downfield passes? Well, the more you go downfield, the more you risk that interception.
Right.
I think they've come to the realization, when I say they, I mean 7, that a punt's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
Unless Presley Harvin shanks one. That's you give yourself a chance your defense a chance to go out there and get a stop and get you the football back. And I think, to your point, if you look at who he's playing with right now, with Juju Smith-Schuster out, Freiermuth, a rookie, Harris, a rookie. Those 2 have scored all the touchdowns in the last 2 weeks in both of those games. Deontay Johnson is a third-year guy, fourth-year guy now.
Yeah.
So he's been around longer, but he missed
a younger guy.
He missed a full season with Roethlisberger in 2019. Then you got Claypool in his second year. James Washington, for whatever reason, has never really seemed to be completely on the same page as Roethlisberger. But they're starting to build that trust factor there. So it's not like 4 or 5 years ago, or even like let's say 2015 when their offense 2014, 2015 was starting to really hum. Where he had Antonio Brown, where he, the best receiver in football. Right. You bring in a Juju Smith-Schuster. You had Heath Miller at that point. He knew where those guys were going to be. Le'Veon Bell was, a big factor out of the backfield. So, I think he's becoming more comfortable with what he is now, as opposed to, earlier in the season. I think, he's still playing. I'm still, 2016, 2017 Ben Roethlisberger. That's not the case, and to expect him to be that is a little unrealistic. But he can be good enough to win you football games.
Yeah, I think the play that impressed me the most, and it wasn't even so much Ben that made the play, it was Deontay that made the play. But that slant in the fourth quarter on that last drive, where I feel like
that's a big part of that's Roethlisberger, though, because he's calling those plays on that. And as he said yesterday, he's calling man beaters there because that's what they had done.
And that's the thing. I love that he took what the defense gave him and then let his skill player make a play.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, if we're looking at this offense right now, that's what needs to happen for them to be successful. It's not going to be Ben Roethlisberger running around directing traffic all the time. It's going to be letting Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth, let these guys get out. Chase Claypool in the first quarter on that contested catch, finally, going up and getting one. Letting these guys do what they do best and just facilitating them. And Ben has, I think, shown a lot of leadership to just do that.
He's playing point guards. Dishing.
Nothing wrong with that.
You don't have to
winning.
shoot. You take if you're playing point guard the right way, unless you're a supreme scorer, you're distributing.
Yeah.
You're just getting the ball to the shooters. Yep. And maybe that's a drive penetration, kick it out for the shot. That's fine. It works.
Yep, and hopefully we see more of that on Sunday against the Lions. So, hey, thanks for watching. This has been Steelers Today. For Dale Lolley for DK Pittsburgh Sports, I'm Eddie Provident. We'll see you probably Sunday, Dale and DK at the stadium.